Colour management and process control. It's really how to achieve high-end, accurate colour and black and white pro photo inkjet printing and to maintain that standard. Now, printer colour management. First, check your colour and black and white printing against a known accurate calibration standard. Apply to your ink supplier for a calibration print and image. Print out your version of this image and compare. If you don't achieve a good accurate match for colour, density, neutral and flesh tone, that shows that your printer at the moment is not accurate to the ICC International Standard. Make sure that your image editing software works with colour management. Now I'm talking Adobe Photoshop, Lightroom, Photoshop Elements, that sort of program. Contact your paper and ink supplier for advice. They may advise you to use generic printer profiles created on another similar printer to your own. Now this usually gets you in the ballpark for colour printing, but for high-end colour and black and white photo inkjet printing, in my opinion, this really doesn't give you the spot-on accuracy that we require. I rely on up-to-date custom printer profiles created specifically for my own printer, the paper and the ink type. You apply to your inkjet paper supplier for their custom printer profile instructions, which are usually emailed to you. Carry out their instructions to the letter, and if there's any doubt, contact them. Now, to illustrate exactly what's involved, here's the Marrott method. Now, this is the simple workflow to create a custom printer profile. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our printer is in perfect condition, so we want to see a perfect nozzle check. So let's have a look. What have we got here? So we can see here a perfect nozzle check, the yellow, light magenta, light cyan, vivid magenta, cyan, light black, photo black. They're all perfect, so we can assume that we can make a start. The next thing we do is we put the correct type of inkjet paper into our printer. So that would be an A4 piece of inkjet paper of the type that we want to have custom profiled, and make sure it's put in the printer in portrait form. Now the next thing we need to do is to follow our instructions that we've had sent to us, and the instructions will tell us to go up onto the Adobe website, and you can actually find it by entering the search word Adobe Color Print Utility into your search engine, and it will come up with this particular page. What we do is, if we're on Windows, we'll click on the download here, and if we're on the on a Mac operating system, which we are at the moment, we click on here. Now, having clicked on there, it will give us this warning. Do we want to open this? Which we say yes, we do, and then we can go into the actual color utility. So let's click on the Adobe Color Utility now. Now this is live, so we'll go. I'll tell you what we will do. Let's get rid of all the rest of it, because we don't need all of that. Let's get rid of Photoshop, because ideally we only want the Adobe Color Print Utility active at this time. So make sure all your other applications are shut down, and this is actually what you get. So we can double click this, and straight away we get this up across the top here, Adobe Color Print Utility. We click on File, and what we do is File, Open, and we want this particular image. It's a TC 9.18 RGB ISIS test target. Now that will be provided to you
by your supplier. It'll either be this or something very similar that your supplier will supply for you. We like this particular target because it gives you nearly 1,000 patches, 1,000 samples to work from, and it's a very, very high-end sample of what your printer is doing. So we're going to print out this particular image on our printer. Now, in this case, for the purposes of the demonstration, we're going to use our Epson SureColor P600, and we go File, Page Setup. We'll select our printer. So we've got a number of different printers. So we're going to select our printer here, the P600. It's A4 and the orientation is portrait. We click OK. The next thing we do is we go File, Print, and we go to make sure we've got the right printer setting, with the printer selected, and we go down the bottom here, Print Settings. Now, you can say to me, well, look, why don't we just print this using the Photoshop application or Lightroom or whatever I've got? Well, unfortunately, these normal programs that we use, they're not very good at totally switching off colour management. It's only using the Adobe Color Print utility that we know that all colour management has been switched off in the background, and we've got nothing interfering with the accuracy of our test sample. So that's why we're using the Adobe Color Print utility. So what we do, we've got the P600, we've got a piece of gloss paper in the printer. Now, because we've got a bit of gloss paper in the printer, we've selected Photo Black. If we've got a matte material that we're printing on, we would select a matte black. But here we've got Photo Black. Now, the media type we're selecting, at the moment we've got glossy. Now, to be quite honest with you, there's not a huge amount of difference between these different settings. There is a slight difference, but it's very, very small. Very high-end customers like to submit to us a test target print on each of these settings, and what we do is we select the best looking print of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types. Now that's for high-end customers. That's called characterizing your print, and what we're looking for there is the optimum dot gain. We're looking at the best black that we can achieve. We're looking at the minimal amount of bronzing that's produced. You know, there's all sorts of things that we look for the best possible type of test target. So if you're a very, very high-end customer, and we have plenty of them, we're quite happy to do a characterization for you. And it simply means that instead of submitting just one test target per piece of per type of paper, you would submit maybe a couple. Now, these different settings, I have to say, I strongly suspect that this is a little bit of marketing expertise on the part of Epson, trying to persuade you that only Epson paper are the best papers to use for this particular printer. You notice they use the word Epson all the time. So we've got all these different types of paper. The reality is there's very little difference, if at all, but we're quite happy to do the characterization for you without a problem. So we go a little bit further down. Here's Photo Black. The colour is set to colour and it's greyed out. Colour settings off, no colour adjustment. Always have that. In actual fact, in the latest printer drivers, they tend to be greyed out like this anyway. Print quality, when we're doing custom printer profiling, I always like to set our customers up on the highest possible quality. I don't think it's a big deal to use a custom printer profile that's been produced at the highest quality if you use the same profile further down the line for a faster print. I think that's fine. If you're particularly worried about this, we're quite happy to do a further profile for you at the faster speed. It's a faster speed and a lower resolution, but I favour using the best facility of the printer, which on a P600 Epson printer is Superphoto 5760 and high speed unchecked. And we can click this and go to print. Now, using the magic of Photoshop, we can get you instantly what we've just produced. So here we have the Epson P600. We've produced the print. So we've produced the print now, and we think, well, okay, we've produced this. What do we do with it? Well, we want you to let the print dry. We want you to put the print not folded. We want you to put it in a stiff-backed envelope and post it to us together with a little bit of information. We need to know what your printer type is, and we need to know what your name is, and we also need to know your email address. Now, the quickest way to do that is if you're using a Marrott service, we give you this little bit of artwork to print out, and it says here that you tell us what your name and address is, but the actual really important information for us is your email address, the printer model, the type of paper that you're using, the other bits and pieces. It's interesting for us to find out a little bit about our customers, and we do dozens of profiles per day, so we're quite used to processing these day after day. Now, if we go back a little bit here, while I think of it, it's very. Can you see that the size of this print, that the size of these dots nicely fit inside the area of an A4, and up the top there you will actually see a dimension of the size we want this to be. Now, if you don't upscale or downscale the print, you just print it exactly as is, the printer will look after the sizing, and our equipment will be able to scan this through quite nicely. If you print borderless, or you scale it up or scale it down, that may well cause us problems. So bear that in mind, produce the test target, get it to us via the post, and if you can be careful to make sure that the print is of the correct size. And then let's move on to the next stage. Well, let's have a look at what we do with this print.